David, thank you so much for meeting us here, and thank you for having us here. And I must say that in comparison to the last year that we had a chance to attend as well, the show is, I would say, twice as big as it was last year, from my impression when I see the people coming over. So congrats.
Thank you.
A great job done. And like connecting it with the first question with what I have just said, it's like, tell me how basically this story with the Glamping Show Americas started for you.
Oh, sure. I would love to tell you this is a result of a strategic plan, lots of due diligence. But the real story is I've been in the exhibition business for, it's embarrassing, almost 40 years. And about 25 years ago, I had a boss who was English, who I have not heard from in 20 years. And he called me one morning from England and said, "You may not remember, but my younger brother was also in the exhibition business." And I said, "Okay." He said he came to me a few years ago with an idea for a new event and asked me for my opinion and wanted me to invest money. So I read his plan and I told him it was the dumbest idea for a trade show I had ever heard. I was not going to invest my money and he shouldn't invest his money either. But he's my younger brother. He never listens to me. He launched the show anyway in 2015, and it has since tripled in size. It's called the Glamping Show. And people are asking him to come to the US. They think it's a good idea, but they don't really have the appetite for the expansion. They speak English, they don't speak American. And I don't know what you're doing these days, but would you be interested in talking to him? And that's how I met Pete and Karen from the UK show. We loved what they were doing. It sounded like fun. It didn't sound like a business opportunity. It sounded like some fun thing to do. So Sally and I said, sure, we'll give it a try. And then we used Sally has 30 years of conference experience and publishing experience. Then we did our job, launched the first event here in 2019, and it went well. We thought it was going to grow much bigger in 2020, and then the pandemic happened. We did a virtual event, and we're very surprised. We had people from 87 countries that came to the virtual event, and we came back in 2021 bigger, and 22 when you were here last year. And you're right, this is the largest event. It's actually about 45% larger than last year.
So I was close.
You were close.
It was double.
Close.
Yeah.
And all the expansion has come outdoors. Some extra exhibitors who are sort of indoor services and things like that. But we have over 50 different structures. We have outdoor furniture and all the things that somebody needs for one-stop shopping if they're a glamping business owner or operator. So that's how it happened. It was an accident.
Yeah, it's like coincidence. There are no coincidences.
It's karma.
Yeah. However we call it,
yes.
It must have happened. So you said that it sounded like fun when it was introduced to you by your UK friend. So is it fun?
Yeah, yes. I mean, is it hard work? Yes. Do we get stressed out sometimes? Of course we do. There are a lot of moving parts to organizing any event, as you know as well. Most of the events I've organized over the years have been industrial, manufacturing technology and information technology. This is very relatable on a personal basis. You can look at this fabulous FDome and say, "Oh my, I would love to stay in this," or I can imagine myself doing this someplace. So we're as much potential consumers who are organizing the event. And every year we see something we've never seen before. The other good part for us is that our visitors are in the outdoor hospitality industry. Their job is to be nice to people. Welcome to my dome, welcome to my camp. And so by nature, they're very friendly people. And so we don't have the person who's waiting in line at the airport check-in desk who's getting angry.
Yeah.
People are, for the most part, really nice, and so it keeps the stress down, and it does make it fun for us to do.
So it is fun. So what is the most rewarding? So when you finish the show, you're back home, you sit down, you kind of relax, digest all these days. What gives you the biggest satisfaction after the show?
It's a really good question. There are a couple of things. We don't have to wait till we get home. Yesterday, somebody came up and handed me an envelope and said, we were asked to give this to you. I said, okay, thank you very much, and opened it up. It was from a conference visitor and his wife who have a glamping business, and sent us this lovely thank you note. Said, thank you for what you do. This is really important. It was a wonderful experience. So that's very rewarding. We meet a new customer who we've been dealing with for 7 months on the phone and by email, who we've never met. And we get to meet them, and at the end of the show, we exchange hugs. Or they say, you've made a difference to my business. Oh, this is great, thank you. So that part, if we get more thank yous than you're not nice people and you do a bad job, then it's very rewarding.
Well, I can't imagine that someone told you that you're not a nice people. Like, it is impossible. It would be like, I don't know. It's just impossible. Like, this is the last thing anybody can tell about you and Sally. And what are the biggest challenges? Because we know that running the show, organizing, we were in the events. We know how it works. We've been dealing with it for like many years. So we know how challenging it might be and how many obstacles can be on the way. So what is the most challenging for you in organizing the glamping show?
A couple of things. I guess the biggest is physical or logistical, where most of our exhibits are outdoors. You may remember the story. You weren't here then, but the last 2 hours of our first show in 2019, it started snowing. And it was so funny. Some people wanted to close the show right away, and others, if you had been there, would have said, well, come inside our dome. We're 4 seasons, we're weather resistant. But 2 nights ago, we had terrible wind and rainstorm overnight. It was very stressful for everybody. So we worry about things we have no control over. We worry about the weather or environmental factors. And this venue is fabulous for what we do, but we're the only event all year they do for this size event.
Okay.
And so their resources, as you know, there's no installed restaurant or catering, so we have to bring in food trucks, and sometimes the food truck lines are too long. And so it's those kind of things that are annoyances to people that we worked very hard to try and eliminate. So it's all of that kind of stuff that creates the most stress.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I know. I just heard that the line was so long because, to be honest, we didn't have a chance to leave our stand for, it was what, 8 hours yesterday. So for me, it was like, I didn't have to eat yesterday. But I can imagine that it can be frustrating. Like the Glamping Show the Glamping Show Americas has become a worldwide brand.
Yes.
Because you have many European exhibitors, I know that there are like South African exhibitors, of course, the ones from the US and Canada. As FDomes, we also build the brand internationally, so we know how hard it is to address and kind of reach the target groups all around the world. How do you find working over the marketing and development of the brand worldwide? How do you do it?
I don't know if we could have done it effectively even 10 years ago. But social media has sort of changed the globe. We can reach someone digitally as easily and as cost effectively in South Africa or Australia or China or wherever as we used to be able to do for someone more local and regional. So I think the combination of word of mouth, having exhibitors or visitors say to their vendors, you should be at the Glamping Show, getting positive press from other publications that are not ours, the reach of our social media, our own magazine subscriptions are growing every issue. So all of those things taken together, we're in a very fortunate place where people from overseas tend to find us before we would find them. I'll get a phone call or an email saying, I heard about your show, or a friend told me about the show. Who are you? What do you do? And we have a chance to start a conversation. So it's a little easier today than it would have been in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we know something about it as well. So
Of
the
course.
social media helps a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I must say that apart from the whole planning, logistics, and organization of the show, the very contact with you guys, we had the most of the contact, to be honest, when it comes
Yep.
to arranging the stand and our participation. I must say it was a pleasure, even though we have a large time difference because we are in Poland, so we are ahead. We live in future.
That's true.
Like we really appreciate, and I personally also appreciate the fact that you were able to take our calls at 3 p.m., which was like 5 or 6 a.m.
Something like that.
Yeah, so we were kind of at the end of the day, you were just starting. So it was so easy,
Good.
even though
Good.
it was so far away. And how do you manage this time difference? Like there are many exhibitors, as we said, from Europe and from other countries. So being in different time zones, I know how hard it may be working with overseas clients to take calls at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. or 6 a.m. How do you deal with it?
Well, two things. I have some experience. I spent 4 years of my career living in Singapore, and my boss was in Boston, which is a bigger time difference. So part of it is just organizing yourself and for the time. And I have the good luck to be one of those very annoying people who wakes up stupid early in the morning, and I'm happy about it. As you know, 4 o'clock is not an unusual time for me to be up and feeding the horses or doing something. I do less well on the opposite side. If it's 5 p.m. my time and it's early in the morning in Australia, I would rather reverse that and do it morning my time and afternoon, or in your case. But you just do. I mean, if you just plan for it, you just get to be my age, you take a nap. It works out. It's part of the fun, really.
It is. That's true. Yeah, it's like I must agree with this one that having calls, even that they're on some ridiculous hours sometimes, it's so rewarding and so nice to meet people. Like if you like working with people and meeting
Yes.
people, this conversation and like the time difference, it's really not an issue.
And technology helps again. If you think even pre-pandemic to now, Zoom or Teams or Google, whatever technology somebody's using, WhatsApp, it doesn't matter. Suddenly the conversation becomes more personal, face to face. You and Dominic on a call together with me, or with me and Debbie, where we all can actually see each other and see, not just hear the voice inflection, but see the facial expression.
Yes.
If I say something and Dominic starts frowning, I know that there's something we have to work on. So it is easier, more efficient today with technology to do the things to help engage and make it personal. And so when we see someone for the first time, sometimes it is not just a handshake. Sometimes it really is a hug.
It is.
To say, because you feel like you know the person, even though it's always been digital.
That's true. So the glamping show ends in 6 hours.
Yes.
Let's say for not all of us, but let's say it ends at 6 hours when it comes to the show,
Yes.
to the exhibition. When do you start preparation for the next year? Tomorrow?
2 months ago.
Okay.
We're on a 14-month cycle. If you think about it,
Okay.
well, I'll tell you now, the show dates are not October 1st and 2nd next year.
Yes.
So we've already signed the lease. We've had to start making arrangements for our contractors. So if we're not ready for next year when we see you, then we're already late. So it's essentially a 14-month cycle. For us, the last 6 months have been focused almost entirely on the event. Now that the event's over for a year, we'll focus more on promoting our podcast. We'll try and increase subscriptions to Glamping Business Americas magazine, because people are kind of show tired right now. And then after we get past the first of the year, suddenly people are going to go, oh my God, it's 2024.
What
am I going to do?
So David, thank you so much for this extremely interesting history and all your valuable knowledge and experience about the show. Maybe I will learn something as well. I will later on watch it again and make notes. So thank you so much. And from our side, in the name of FDomes, I would like to thank you very much for your help, for your assistance, and how you approach your clients. that they become more than clients. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. We appreciate your support and the relationship. So thanks to FDomes from us.
Thank you.